and then we'll go ahead and have you start, Charlie. And here comes David. David is joining us now.
Okay, let's get him on.
He's starting now.
Let's just leave Shane.
Okay, YouTube live stream is up.
Okay. Shall we call the meeting to order then? What is it? It's 4:06. And so we'll begin with the roll call. I'm Charles Young, the chair. Let's start. Do I get to? I guess I'll choose. Kari?
Hi, Kari Kimura here.
Shirley?
Shirley David, Vice Chair.
David?
David Huerta, present.
Janice?
Hello, Janice Paul McGlenny. Aloha.
And Rose?
Hi, aloha.
Hi, I didn't go in any particular order, folks. Oh, Franz?
Aloha, I'm here. This is Franz.
Good to see you all. I didn't go in any particular order. It's just the way your pictures pop up on the screen. So since we are in the roll call, I wanted to mention staff that's on the call.
Oh, Chair, I think we got one more, Chair.
And yeah.
Sorry, Chair, I think we got one more AC member, Marissa.
Oh, Marissa, I'm sorry, I didn't see the face. I saw only the.
David.
Hi,
I'm
Marissa.
present. Hi.
Oh, sorry, I missed you.
That's okay.
All right, and so present staff, we have Rob Leisure with the Planning Department, Camuela Plunkett, Keiko Mercado, and Jean Campbell, who's Corporation Counsel. And I guess I should introduce Zendel Kern as well, the planning director. So I think that's pretty much everybody online. As is my custom, hello everyone and welcome. As is my custom, I usually do a olelo no eau before we get started. And so unless someone here has one, I wanted to just offer one, which I think is very appropriate for today. It's umia kahanu, which means hold your breath. And the underlying meaning is be patient. Okay, so I'm asking you to hold your breath while I chair this meeting because this would be my very first one. Okay, so the next agenda item is any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Chair. Camuela Plunkett with the Planning Department. So we have a recommended reorder to the business items. We're recommending that after the announcements that the current item number 3 be moved to the top. So that is Action Committee member initiatives and network maps. We request that that be moved to the top and that the second item, Ali'i Parkway Investigatory Subcommittee, be left in the second position and that election of Action Committee officers be moved to the third.
Officers, oh.
And that, just to make it known, we do have one person that submitted testimony for the Ali'i Parkway Investigatory Subcommittee report, and that after staff gives their update, that person, Mikiala Lamaku, will be able to present her testimony on both the minutes from the previous meeting and also 3 minutes on this particular subject as well. So that's our proposal for the shift in agenda, Chair.
Thank you, Kamo. I think that makes sense so that we can get everything important up front as well. I think we need to just entertain a motion that we move or amend the agenda so that agenda item scheduled now for 3, action item committee member initiatives and network maps is moved to the first business item. Ali'i Parkway Investigatory and Subcommittee remains as number 2. And the election of action committee officers is then moved to number 3.
I so move.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor, just indicate by waving your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, well,
Aye.
okay, so the motion is carried. Thank you.
Mahalo, Chair.
Oh, I forgot an item. I'm sorry. Before we go any further, there's an online protocol that we need to be aware of and follow. I think most of us are probably accustomed to Zoom meetings and the confusion that sometimes goes along with it. So this is, hopefully going to help us, maintain and keep our stuff on course. So let me just read it. Online protocol. In response to the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with state and county proclamations and guidance on large meetings or gatherings, this Community Development Action Committee meeting is being held online. Members of the Action Committee are participating on the Zoom collaboration platform, and members of the public are observing the meeting on the YouTube live stream. Should quorum be lost because of technical difficulties, then that agenda item and possibly the meeting may be paused or closed. After the conclusion of the meeting, the YouTube live stream recording will remain available for viewing, and minutes will be posted on the Hawaii County website when they are completed. We requested that all participants on the Zoom platform observe the following Aloha etiquette practices. 1 person speaks at a time with no side conversations. Mute your device to promote high audio quality. Please raise your hand and wait for recognition by the chairperson before speaking. Prior to speaking, please state your name. Remember to speak slowly and clearly, close to the microphone, and limit distractions. Turn off mobile phones and other devices. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we can go on to announcements now. The first thing that I just wanted to announce was my appreciation for 2 members who are not here during the COVID times. We had new members and welcome new members, but we also had a couple term out, and I just wanted to thank them. That was Barbara DeFranco and Hiram Rivera. Kamu, you going to take the next one? Kamu, oh. Kamu?
Yes, mahalo, Chair. And just want to echo what you said. We just mahalo Barbara and Hiram for their years of service. As we know, they're still serving their communities, and really grateful for them. With that, I just want to welcome our newest CDP Action Committee members, Marissa Bankston and Roslyn Molina. We've asked them to prepare a short intro of themselves. So with that, we'll start with Marissa, and then Marissa, when you're done, Roslyn can go.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Marissa Bankston. So I was born in Hawaii, and I spent some time in California, but I moved back, and my folks are here. So moved back to the island to be closer to my ohana. I don't have a lot to say. I'm brand new to the committee. Just want to help in any way that I can and lend my professional skills, and just here to help. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Mahalo, Marissa. Rose?
Okay. Sorry, I'm actually on my way home. My name is Rosalyn Molina. I'm a business agent for the International Longshore Warehouse Union. I've been living in Hawaii my entire life. I raised 4 kids here. They're actually all scholarship at Washington State. Well, one is actually on her way to WNBA. But I'm here to, make sure that my kids are able to come home and, just be part of the community, get more involved in planning, especially with the planning committee, and basically to help out as much as I can with whatever I can, because I do represent almost 1,000 members who works in different trades as tourism, general trades. But basically, I'm here to just help with whatever I can and whatever you need me to do, basically. But that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Rose and Marissa. And we just honor you along with the rest of the committee for engaging with your county government and the planning department. So much appreciation. And with that, Chair, since I'm already on the mic, I'll just go to the next announcement, which is a short message from our new planning director, Zendo Kern. He'll give a short intro and I believe a very brief time to field some questions. So we're gonna allow maybe up to 15 minutes for this portion. We don't have to use the whole thing, but that's what we're gonna hold it to. So with that, mahalo, Director Kern, you're on.
Thank you, Kamo. Appreciate being here. Chair Young, members of the CDP Action Committee, absolute pleasure to be here, honor to be here. Thank you for the time. I'm not going to spend too much time on myself. Been in the newspaper and around enough that most people are somewhat aware of that, but quite simply, born and raised here on the Big Island, extensive background in real estate, land use, as well as public service and government. So been on both sides of there and just really am honored to be able to continue to serve this beautiful, amazing island. I think I'll get right into it, but before I do that, I want to just say that I've sat on boards, I've volunteered on boards. I understand what it takes. I appreciate everyone's time here and effort and intention and energy into this CDP Action Committee. It means a lot to show up at the end of a long, hard working day and to take these thoughts and processes into account and try to do the very, very best for our communities. And I just want to honor you folks, and I want to continue to do that and really just give our much aloha and appreciation. So much work to be done, and got a great team with our members of the planning department here. So very lucky there. And I can just tell from the energy on this, the CDP, that so many great people within this committee as well. Wanted just to touch base on the article that came out over the weekend regarding CDPs. When I first took the position as planning director, I've been collecting data and information and talking with each one of our divisions and talking with our long range planning division, and the CDPs are one of the items that we spoke about. And there was discussion about just some adjustments with the CDPs, trying to make them even more action orientated into our communities and to get the actions based on the CDPs into motion. And so there's some movement or some ideas being floated around out there. My understanding is that a lot of this was derived from CDPs, action committees, on wanting to be more engaged around these. And so I've been still in data collection mode. There's a lot of things going on in the planning department, intergov, general plan, etc. And so when this subject matter came up at the county council, I think it was maybe we weren't as quite prepared for as we would like to be, and followed up by the article, which I just don't think necessarily gave all the data and input that we would wanted to have there, especially for you folks. Ideally, I would have been able to speak with every one of you prior to anything like that coming out and have an understanding of what's happening there. So there's the whole headline of uncertainty. I don't feel that that's the case. I feel it's minor potential shifts to empower you folks more to be engaged in our community, doing more work. That's the intention behind it, and that's what we're going to continue to strive to push for. So I'm really happy to answer any questions related to that. Yeah, just to have I've always just tried to have really open, honest dialogue, communication. I like to hear all sides of it. I like to hear things that people might think I don't like to hear, even if you don't agree with me, that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that, but I always try to have a good, rational discourse and conversation and be respectful to all those engaged in the process. So yeah, Chair, I'll leave it up to you. As Kamu said, we shouldn't spend too much time on it because you guys got a lot to do, but I'm happy to answer it. And if there's questions from multiple questions from various people, I'd suggest that we try to at least see if everybody wants to ask a question, and then can take it from there. But I'll leave that to your discretion, Chair.
Sure. I think we can because obviously because of the article, I think there probably are a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I would be surprised with this group that there aren't a lot of questions. But I had just a comment, and I've been on the committee long enough to know have worked with now the third planning director, and one of my concerns, I guess, it is that staffing has been an issue, I think, throughout the whole time, and we used to meet once a month, and it went to once every month, and then now it's quarterly, understandably because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious as to whether getting that staffing, either I'm presuming it's numbers, it has to do with financing probably, because I think also that's hampered two of the major sort of goals that this committee had set for itself. One was wrapping up the open space network work, which is extremely important to some of our folks on this committee, and then trying to resolve the traffic issues that have continue to rise because the Lee Parkway is not there, and so I think those probably still loom large, I think, in some people's mind. And of course, we're starting new again. It's it's like we're starting from scratch because of COVID. So I know that's a lot. That's not really a question. It's just more a comment. And I'm hoping we can make some progress along that line. But I'll open it up to anyone who has a question. Janice, is that a hand there? A yellow hand you have up? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Aloha, Sendo. I have a couple of comments, and one was to follow up on Charlie's, and I really appreciate that, Charlie. The Open Space Network plan, as well as defining the elements in the TODs. Without Greenbelt definition, and now these are both things that we've worked on for, I don't know, a long time. We've had a lot of definitions for open space. We've had definitions for green belts. And I think that some people think that this is a moratorium document, but the only reason it has appeared to be that way is because the county planners have never, finished up and implemented those two really important aspects of the plan. The other thing that the article was super disturbing to me. I'll be completely honest with you. And the thing that I think is most important is that everyone remember that this committee, this whole CDP was created in response to a top-down type of land use management that was happening prior to it. And that it is really important. I think what disturbed me the most about the article was seeing that there's, I'm glad for the administration to be paying attention to CDPs. That's critical. And I asked the mayor to do that. But I also think that it's incumbent upon everyone to realize that the meetings, the way they're run, and how we do everything should come from the community. And that whenever there are questions about what's going to happen with the CDP, that you guys come to us. Because we've tried very hard, and for years we've been very communicative. We've made a lot of motions to try to get the planning department to do what we needed. And it's been really hard. And, but as long as there's that respect and understanding that we are unique to other commissions. And I think that everyone has to remember that, because without being grassroots, it's not a community development plan. Thank you for your time.
I can speak to both of those just briefly. The issues, the priorities are still there. I don't think COVID's changed that. I don't think staffing's changed that. And I don't think budget will change that, right? So we need to find a way to do more with less. In my ideal world, Janice, I would have been able to absorb all the information, understand where it was coming from. From my understanding, a lot of it was coming from the CDPs, be able to engage in that, and then be able to start making decisions. And then the public would actually have gotten to know that. Just what ended up happening was early on, when we're going through this, standing up things like Intergov, and as you can imagine, coming in as a new administration, there's a lot to do, right? And knowing that, there's a full CDP action committee right here. When Pomai asked, I said, hey, can you just pause that for a moment while I'm gathering, and we're just making sure that we're in the right track with staffing, all the rest of it. So honestly, it was a timing issue, and would have been nice to write a whole one-page narrative in the article to really understand that. So I personally, apologize for any stress or anxiety or concern that's caused to the ACs and you members here. That was never the goal or the intention.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No hands? Few smiles. Okay. If no one else has any more questions or comments for Director Kern, then I'd like to thank you. And I hope you got another hand here, Janice. I hope we see you at more meetings. Hang on.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm hoping to do the same. And I'm also going to say I do have a very open door policy. So, if there's ideas, comments, suggestions, obviously feel free to share them with the staff. Feel free to CC me in emails as well. Because like I said, you have a very great, very caring team there. And you also have a director that cares very much. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. And thank you very much for your service. I'm not going to sign off yet. Janice, I know you got another question, so I'm here.
Well, if no one else does, I was just wondering about the open space network. We were told, in previous administrations that there would be planners that, we need to have professionals, maybe sometimes from the outside, inside. Is there anything that the administration has talked about with the open space network to date for the KCDP?
Quite honestly, I'm still in the process of diving into it and would be premature to speak to that, but certainly hearing that loud and clear, and we'll underscore to talk about that very quickly. Obviously, the open space network is very important, no doubt.
Chair, I can give a quick and not groundbreaking update, but so Janice, just to let you know, as you folks all know, our own personal division has had management changes between the last two administrations. So the last we told you is that the Open Space Network project moved to the mayor's office. April Supernut is now back in the long range division as manager. And so she's inheriting the conversation of where to assign, how to assign that project. So to my understanding, it's now back with the long range division, and it is one of her top priorities. Sorry, I know you guys have been waiting a while for that to be implemented. So the only update is it's back with long range division. And when I know more, I'll let you guys know more.
And Kamu, to add to that, April just popped in the office and she said, yes, it's back with her. She is going to be putting it back into place here momentarily. And I think Chair Young's statement at the beginning of patience was so on point. So a little bit of patience there. It is forthcoming. A little bit of patience with me as I sift through everything and get everything teed up and moving forward. It's all forthcoming. And again, patience is much appreciated.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Colin. Thank you, Zendo.
Yep.
Janice, you still have your hand up? Go ahead. No? I'm sorry. You just got this yellow. All right, there you go. Okay, are there any more questions or comments for Director Kern? Okay, I guess if not, please hang on, stick around. We can move, I guess.
Mahalo, everybody.
And thank you for being there. Okay, so based on the amended agenda, we're going to move to the Action Committee member initiatives and network maps. Kamu?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So I can read it for you, Chair, if you want.
You want me to read it into the agenda? Or into the?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. So Long Range Planner Kamuela Plunkett to present results of the network mapping exercise based on community connections of individual Action Committee members. This network mapping exercise aims to visualize the potential connectivity for community-based communication and collaboration represented by the collective KCDP Action Committee. The Action Committee may also consider discussing possible investigatory projects relative to specific initiatives that advances CDP implementation. Okay, Kamu.
Okay, mahalo, Chair. And with that, we should have amended this, but actually, this has been a discussion amongst the CDP planners about how to get more action through understanding our networks better. So there's this online application that helps intake information and kind of visually share what the network looks like. Because Rob actually intook all of your folks' information, I'm gonna let him share his results from the Kumu exercise, and then after he shares, he can set up some follow-up questions to receive your folks' feedback or insights. So, Rob, when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I will now share my screen. Let's get confirmation that everyone can see my screen. One thing I need to just check, Cabo, I want to make sure that it's showing up on YouTube. I think it's coming. Yes, it is. Okay. So yeah, thank you everybody for this time to present the results of our community mapping. If you recall, back in December, the December All Island AC meeting, we spoke about this approach of getting the ACs focused on doing community-based actions to implement the CDP priorities, goals, and whatnot. And as was discussed in December, was the first step that we would like to take is to do a mapping of the reach that you as AC members have out into the community. So to do that, we are utilizing a software platform called Kumu, which was—
Rob, hold on really quick, Rob.
Yep.
So when you're looking straight at your screen, your audio is strong. When you turn towards the window side, it goes out. So every time you're looking straight on, the audio is perfect. Just to let you know.
Okay, so it's strange because my mic is right here. Okay, I'll try to speak directly into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Kumu was created by two brothers in Oahu who, through their community work, wanted a way to visualize and describe and make sense of complicated relationships. So they put together this tool to allow you to basically do a bit of a stakeholder management kind of concept to visualize your relationship out in the community. So what we've done is set out a couple of questions to you as members and capturing then what kinds of organizations you are involved with. What are some of the key projects that these organizations are doing that you may have direct involvement with, and then put them into the tool to give a visualization. So this is the first draft, which we would like to present to you and get your thoughts about how this could be improved in order to help you do your work in doing community-based actions in implementing of priorities. So the concept here is that it's a series basically of concentric circles. So in the beginning, in the center, we have basically the action committee, and extending from that then are all of the committee members. Okay. And then for each of the members, we are able to identify the different organizations to which you are attached, as well as any specific projects that you may have highlighted. What we've done then, and I'll use what's called a focus feature to pull up a particular person. So here we have Shane. What we try to do based upon our awareness of these organizations, looking them up, try to give some categorization so we can easily visualize the connections or the types of organizations that people are involved with. So you'll see down here in the legend, this is the first rough draft of how we might categorize these. And this is something then that as we go forward and we do this with other action committees, we will come up with a consistent strategy to do these legends as we gather your input and improve the way this information is portrayed going forward. But here's our first cut. You can kind of see that we've categorized things to arts and culture, civic organizations, education, nature, youth organizations, place of worship, and people and family services based upon what we gathered these organizations do. Beyond the organizations itself, then we can also link specific projects that have that stem from these organizations that either you as AC members are particularly involved with or are meaningful and could be something that ties into a CDP policy or goal. So basically the idea is that we can continue this mapping and this sharing of information around the committee and allow you then to start making connections. You know, where is it that you share similar interests or connections to organizations that are similar in nature? However, because this is our first approach to this, we of course want to be able to gather your insights as to how such information may be useful to you. Meaning, you know, what other features might we consider, whether it's geographical presentation of where these organizations exist, or some other element about them, about the organizations that you would like to see represented in here. And then we would take that in and try to assemble all of that into a consistent way of doing this across all the ACs, so that as we try to do this island-wide, which is one of the messages in the December meeting, is that of course we want to connect the different ACs across the island so that you can share your efforts in going after very similar actions that you might see on different parts of the county. So what I'd like to do is then give more time now to your reflections, as well as maybe Keiko, if there's anything else after we hear some of the reflections about how we intend to use this going forward, or sorry, Kamu, then we will take that topic up as well. But for the moment, I would say let's open it up to anybody who might have a question from the ACs as to the nature of this or anything else relevant to what I presented so far.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for putting in that work. And so let me go back and read this. The action committee may also, sorry. The action committee may also consider discussing possible projects, specific initiatives. So really, this is just a time. There's actually two things we want to get out of this. First, but the first priority is if you guys can give us feedback on if you guys think this is, or just your thoughts. First, give us your major thoughts, and then after you can give us suggestions about how to use this or how is it relevant. But Chair, if you don't mind, we'd just like to open it up at this time.
Can I, Chair?
Keiko got.
Can I just share real quickly? I think one of the reasons that we were suggesting that we take the agenda items out of order was because this conversation about networking and how we're hoping to continue to work not only with our ACs who are fully seated, but with work towards implementing the CDPs where the ACs are not fully seated. And it's this idea of collective action. And so it followed Zendo's intro well, and the conversation kind of seemed to flow. This is not a new conversation. You guys know you've been around and working in this system for a long time. And I think both you, Chair, and Janice expressed some frustration with trying to get staff to move forward on things. And so what we're trying to do is more clearly define the roles of action committee members and the roles of planners. Sorry, I'm speaking to my computer because I have you guys up on there too. So we're trying to more clearly define the roles so that there is less frustration both on your side in the community, but also on the planner's side, because we also know that a lot of Kuleana falls on us and we can't always get to it because we're juggling other things. And so this is a way that we're hoping to build on that collective action. So collective action within your own CDPs and implementing those, but also being able to make connections island-wide. Because I think being able to leverage that helps us to get better results. And so I think we've talked about these before, right? The example of Uncle Charlie and the nonprofit that he works with at Ho'okena, and then also Shirley with her involvement with the Housing Coalition stuff. And so just trying to better understand all of the things that you folks are working so hard on and connecting those to implementation to ensure that we're not missing pieces, and how we can identify where it's most appropriate for county staff, planning department, whatever department it is, to help and not get in the way of implementation. So I think that's the basis behind us trying to identify the networks that we're all working within, if that helps at all.
That helps. Janice, you had a comment.
So I think my comment is the same one I've probably said 3,000 times now. So I am happy to try to, connect to people in my community about the CDP, but the problem right now is the stumbling block is that it is very difficult to go to people and say, can you give me some help? We'd like to get involved, like even just getting people to come today, because there's just no results. And until we have the open space network plan and something can move forward with implementation of the CDP, it is very difficult to get, people are busy. I'm busy, like to keep on, a volunteer. I mean, most people I know that are interested in volunteering already volunteer for a lot of things. So I just want to know how much more outreach and how much more effort we can spend and how much more we can ask other people to spend if we can't show them something. The thing that I can show, what I say to people is, what, if there hadn't been a KCDP right now, this place would be a disaster area because development would have kept going like it was before. But that isn't enough, like the CDP, it's just, I don't know, you guys, I just think that I get that the planning department, we all have to separate our roles and all that. I mean, we were told time and time and again that we're not a decision-making body, we can always just give our input. it's just time to move to this next level. And I don't know, that's all I can say, but it's really frustrating. And I don't know how to draw in, like, I worried that my term is up. Who can I get from the environmental community? Who can you get from the environmental community to take the time and the effort that it takes to learn and then do this stuff if they don't see an outcome sometime, before their hair goes gray, if it isn't already. Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to comment? Sorry, I can't see you all at the same time. Shirley?
So, yes, when I saw this software and started to use it, I realized what also would be really good about it for us, that when we're doing our planning, is when we're looking for our members who can be on our subcommittees by what they're involved in. So if we have something on housing, we would look at people that work in that, already working in that area to be members of that subcommittee. So I really like this software for that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I this is the first time I've seen it, and I think it can be a useful tool. When was it? Maybe a couple of years ago, we were really making an attempt to hold on when we were holding our meetings at least monthly or every other month. We were trying to get out into the community and have the meetings there present and live with the people at the ground level, I suppose, and try to sort of contour the meetings so that the subject matter was present and at hand in the places that we were meeting. And I still think that I wish we could do that now, and of course that's not happening. But I think, as Janice is speaking, this takes from the volunteer side anyway. You just got to have a lot of repetition in this. I mean, you volunteer, and then something takes hold, and I think if we can bring these connections together, then you have something really strong. But how do we actually physically do that? Do we convene meetings, or are we going to rely on each one of us, to sort of work our own little networks, which I do, and hence, when we had the meeting out in Kona, we tried to get the local people there, and a lot of local issues came up. So it just takes time to develop that interest, but I think the interest is peaked when you actually bring the meeting to them. I don't know how we're going to do that under these conditions, but I think having a network is valuable because it's worked in pretty much all the other organizations I work with. They're networks. They're not just one organization. It's an organization representing organizations. So, and that certainly works statewide, and I think we can make it work countywide as well. But it does take a lot of hard groundwork. So I see the pieces. I just don't know how we gel them together unless we're going to rely on each one of the members to do that. Committee members. Anybody else comment? So, Rob, you were saying, what was the sort of like the next steps is to try and understand how we utilize these connections?
Chair, maybe we'll let Keiko answer the next steps on this. But before we get to that, I just want to mention something real briefly, kind of pointing to the whole action committee, but it touches upon what Janice is talking about. We understand that there is a level of frustration in terms of meeting versus the actions being done. In my own thoughts in processing things with our team, I think one of the biggest things is that we're analyzing is, as an advisory committee, what do you folks have the power to do? Where is it most effective? And what we've learned is that trying to move the priorities of other departments through the CIP it's not really effective, because you guys can come and tell us maybe what you see as a priority. And we talked about this before. After it leaves our department, it goes to another larger, not larger, just another tier of vetting county priorities, which after it leaves us, we don't have control of what happens to that. So the thing I want to challenge all of us, the AC and the staff, is how do we make clearer communications, and how do we make sure that those communications get out to who they can get out to? I think the trick is that, so like Shirley mentioned, this network mapping shows the people within the community that are best suited for certain types of subcommittees, meaning that our scoping and our expertise in what we produce can hopefully hit the mark more precisely. And if we can get those reports in on our end, we're working legally. What is the channels by which we can share this within the county? So I just wanted to point that out, because like you folks, staff is actually frustrated too, because we act more like a reservoir. You folks are giving us all this input. The channels to get them out it's been a journey trying to find out what are those channels that we can get this information out to. So anyway, we are going to continue to work on this and communicate back and forth, but this network mapping is part of that whole process. And anyway, I'll stop there. I'll let Keiko talk about next steps, and then maybe we can shoot to Janice after that.
Sure. So just following up on that, and something that Uncle Charlie said, I think, so we're asking you folks to provide us with the groups that you're working with and the initiatives that you're working on. And so the opposite side of that is us. And so we need to also be accountable. And so what we're working on our side is also networking where we have strong connections within other county departments, and where there's pukas that we can maybe ask the director to help us make those connections. And so we're trying to do mirroring what you folks are doing, we're gonna also try to do that. And so then as we try to figure out what is being implemented on the community side out of the CDPs, all of our CDPs, we're gonna also try to mirror that on our side. And so out of the county actions, what are we actually working on? What's low hanging? What can we get to? What opportunities are arising as we're seeing different things bubble to the surface? And so just that kind of, the conversations have been ongoing for years, right? And so it is going to take a point of us kind of rebuilding relationships and learning to trust each other that we're going to be able to work through this. So we appreciate you guys sticking it out and sticking with us as we try to find a better way to work. I think all of you have expressed multiple times over the years that this system just hasn't worked for us. And so to Zendo's point of we're taking some time to kind of collect data and try to figure out a better way to implement and continue working with the least amount of frustrations as possible. And so we're trying to figure out our mapping internally as well. And I think, Uncle Charlie, you have some experience working with Freesia, and some of the things that she's worked through with trying to identify different projects, and then what the sticking points are for those projects, and how we can either get out of the way or how we can provide help and assistance. And so that's our hope with our action committees too. So next steps is really just allowing, I think Janice has already said it and Franz has put it in the chat too, that they want to be able to add to their networks. And so we can dive as deep as we want to into identifying specific projects that you folks are involved with or know of that are happening. If there are other community groups that you know that are working on projects, that's the other thing is we know that it's not just our action committee members who are implementing our CDPs. And so how do we bring in these community groups who are also working very hard to implement the vision that was brought to life by our CDPs? So just continuing to build out the network, and then we can try to identify connection pieces. And then to Shirley and Kamu's point of if there are these synergies happening, then maybe it's appropriate for investigatory subcommittee to be formed to work specifically on this one thing.
So with that, Chair, we turn it back to you. Janice has her hand up.
Yeah, Janice.
It was in response to what you said, Kamu, about the CIP. You know, back, I think it was before you, the Open Space Network actually got, was at the top of CIP funding. We worked really hard to get it up there, and you were saying like it can get lost in other departments, but I think that it went all the way to the council, and it seemed like it was at the top, and it had made it through it. And so, like to me, and my understanding is that getting that funding was the whole key to the kingdom. That was it. We had so. Now I know. I mean, it's great to hear that April and there's a group that are working on it. But as far as CIP goes, so where does that leave us if we need funding for things like that? And how is the Open Space Network project being funded? I don't know. I just wonder how. I'm just confused about that whole process, and now we're sort of back at the bottom where we were. We're at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Janice. So just to clarify, you guys did the CIP project did get appropriated. It got approved, and monies was dedicated to it. In that instance, the reason why it didn't move past it being funded was because the department itself didn't have capacity to assign a planner to it. So here's the thing. There's times where your projects will not even make it out of CIP. That's one type of scenario. This scenario is that there wasn't capacity for somebody to manage it. And then it moved into the mayor's office, and now it's back here. And believe it or not, we still have the same number of staff. So when it comes to owning it, Janice, we own it, and I'm sorry that it is still there. We are still trying to find somebody to manage it, which again, I don't think we're too far off on. But I just wanted to clarify for you the difference between what happened with Kona Open Space and maybe some of your other suggestions that went towards CIP. And I know this is disappointing, but I'm just going to be truthful with you guys. We have a limited amount of staff. We have a limited amount of staff, and we're trying to find ways to build our capacity without more staff. We got to find, and trying to make the system more efficient to where we can spend less time on processes and workflow. When we can get those more efficient, then we can free up more time to actually do planning. So I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit and just being honest with you. But it is an uphill climb. But I can tell you, we have a bunch of young planners in this department. And we do understand that the struggles we're going through to try and make our department more efficient, it's for the next generation. And yes, we hope to make gains in this time, but it will be slow. But maybe not. Maybe our director is going to speed things up. But anyway, I just got to let you know, I pulled the curtain back, Janice. This is the situation that we're in, and I'm sorry for that.
I just comment back to, I mean, the only thing was, is I thought you guys were going to hire, I thought that money was to hire somebody from outside the department. I won't say, I thought that was the whole thing. Thank you. Thanks, Kama.
Yeah, no, you're right, Janice, and it's about project management, and that's the part that we didn't have another project manager, because the planners are managing multiple projects at the same time. Okay, back to you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think this is off the subject, but I know we're planning. Oh, wait, I see Kari raising her hand, so let's give her a shot. Kari?
Thank you, Chair. So, for planning, I've been on this committee for a long time, and we were told that our meetings were cut in half because of the general plan, and now it was new to me right now, Kamu, when you say that we had no planner to actually implement the getting moving on hiring a consultant to be able to move forward with the open space network. And, I'll be the first one to say, due to COVID, I didn't think, last year was a good opportune time to actually start reaching out, because we couldn't meet safely face to face. But, looking out to, 2021, 2022, I'd like to see that we become a priority. And, honestly, general plan should be wrapping up. It should free up some staff time, shouldn't it? And I think that if some of us need to start basically showing up in the planning director's office, in the mayor's office, and county council, we need to do that. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Kari. Comment, did you want to come in?
No.
Okay. I was just following on my thought. I know we have our plans are now to meet quarterly. I think I believe we're setting out a schedule for that, or we had discussed that. One of the things that we tried to do, and I think we were on the path to doing that successfully, was, try to subcommittee some work out, and so that we could be filling in some of the gaps, or filling in some of the voids in between the meetings. What are those opportunities now that we are, having to do these things electronically? I'm really weary of sending email to other members of the committees, of the committee, because of the sunshine restrictions, the sunshine law restrictions. So I'm not quite sure how we might be able to handle that. You have any suggestions? And do you think subcommittees, this question is really for all of the committee members, but also for staff, it can be workable?
So Chair, I believe at our last action committee member, we actually set up a brand new subcommittee that was going to engage when the contract started. Yeah. So that subcommittee is active. I don't have off the top of my head which of the current committee members volunteered for that subcommittee, but you guys are primed to engage when it starts. And but if you guys want to schedule a time, if you guys have more ideas, if you guys are talking amongst yourselves, whoever is on that subcommittee, and you guys want to come into the Kona office and talk and share more of your ideas, please feel free to. So all to say, you guys are primed to engage with the contract, and we're open to conversations prior to the contract starting.
Okay. All right. How do we convey that to you? Can we just do it individually?
I think we can send out an email to the people. We have to go back and check the minutes and make sure we remember who volunteered for that subcommittee. I do believe that it's still Kari and Shirley on it, at least. But we can send out a reminder as to who is on it. And yes, you guys engage. Janice, are you still on it?
Which subcommittee? I want to know, what subcommittee are you talking about? Sorry, I missed. Was it open space?
It's the Kona open space.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we can send out an email reminding who's the people who are on it, and if they want to come in and talk story, we can work it out through email.
Okay. Does that work? Okay. Any other comments or discussion on that agenda item? Kamu? Keiko? Rob? Okay. Shall we just move to close that item then for now? And we can move on to the second agenda item, business item, and that would be the Ali'i Parkway. So the long-range planner, Kamuela Plunkett, to provide clarity on a question raised during the October 15, 2020 Action Committee meeting as to whether or not public comments received during the October 15, 2020 Action Committee meeting may be included in the subcommittee's final report. In addition, the Action Committee may vote to accept the presented final report, discuss the final report, and to approve of the final report with subsequent actions. The Action Committee may also vote to close this investigatory subcommittee. Kamu?
Okay, mahalo. I'm not going to take a long time for my part. It's just that we ended this agenda item in October 2015 of 2019 when Shane gave his report, which I believe Rob resent a link to where you guys could access that that report that he gave on that day. At the end of it, after all the public testimony, he asked if that could be added to the report. And it brought up a question of scoping. Now, I'm going to go off track a little bit, but in analyzing, but it's relevant to this fact. In analyzing how we create our subcommittees and we produce reports, I believe we got to get more detailed in how we scope and spend time how we scope our subcommittees. Because the issue is that when the subcommittee, although the subcommittee, when you read this part, they decided to just to summarize, the scope of the work didn't include public testimony from the Action Committee meeting. So this is a part of scoping our subcommittees. We really do have to be more clear about what we're trying to produce and how we're going to produce it. So after reviewing the minutes of that created the subcommittee, realizing that it wasn't part of the scope. So we're not going to include the minutes of that meeting as part of the report, but we can just reference the minutes that went along that was given on that day. So I know this sounds like splitting hairs, but the minutes is not going to be counted as part of this report. But it can be referenced to, the minutes can be referenced to. So anyway, that's really all I got to say about that. So however, you folks still need to make a motion to accept the report to be able to discuss it, because it was presented. Now today is your time to have discussion on the report and vote to approve or not approve or approve with amendments. But prior to that, Chair, so I'm going to leave this, and this is what we were trying to figure out, but also with your discretion, we have Mikiala Lamaku that wants to talk about, she wants to comment on the minutes from that meeting and how it was recorded. And she also wants, the minutes can be referenced to. Okay, we got feedback on this side.
I think Rob muted her.
I move
Okay.
to approve the report so we can discuss it.
Correct. But before we get into that, I think, Chair, Lamaku asked to give comments, one on her issue with the minutes of that meeting related to this agenda item, meaning the Ali'i Parkway, and then she also requested separate time to talk about the Ali'i Parkway Investigatory Subcommittee report at this meeting. So just to clarify, we're giving her a total of 6 minutes, but 3 minutes because of each topic. So Chair, I'm putting it to you if you want her to spend all of her 6 minutes at this point in time right now, or to break it up when we get to the approval of the minutes.
You know, Tom, it's all on the same subject, huh? So just one is contained in a minute, one is contained in the report. I think we can do the whole 6 minutes, you know, sort of together, as long as we respect the 3 minute sort of sticking to the topic. Yeah.
Okay.
One refers to this content and one refers to the minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
To Franz's point though, about approving the subcommittee report before discussion on it, is that a point, or?
You need a motion to accept the report.
Right, and then
that motion is really to accept the report so that it can be discussed.
Right. Okay. It's not a motion to approve it. I mean, it's not a.
It's no.
Okay,
after your discussion, then
right.
you can. Then that's another motion to approve.
Okay. I'm assuming all the committee members have a copy and have read the subcommittee report, and perhaps were present when Shane actually presented it.
Yeah, but I guess, Chair, do you want to let Lamaku go now before you go into that?
Again, she's part of the discussion though. Should we not have that motion?
There's a motion on the floor right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a motion, so we can discuss.
Second.
You need a second?
Okay, who seconded?
Second.
Okay, Franz, you approve, you're motioning, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
All right, and a second. Okay, so we can let Lamaku, I think, have her discussion first.
Okay.
Now that-
Okay, so
She on
it's
the
been
line?
seconded and we're moving into the discussion portion, and
Yes.
Chair is allowing Lamaku to speak on her 2 topics starting now.
Aloha.
Hello?
Good afternoon to everyone. It's very pleasant to make acquaintance, albeit in this format of Zoom. I am Lamaku Mikahala Roy Kahu of Ahuenaheo at Kamakuhonu, Hawaii. Mr. Plunkett, I have to make comment here. What you explained as to the reasons why there will not be minutes taken from the 10/15/2019 meeting, this is what Hawaiians call pono ole. You called a meeting and you invited people to come. I expect those minutes to be a part of that meeting. I'm so sorry, but what you have just practiced in arbitrarily just saying go back to the rules and call it not necessary is not acceptable. Please answer your comments to me. Please answer me on this because it's vital. I am one who communicated in the communities when the CDP plans were being created. I said to the county, how is it that we would need a group to formulate planning that come from Pittsburgh? What do they know about island heat planning? If it's a matter of money, then go to each household and get $1. Come together with that funding and hire someone from Hawaii to build a development planning system. I am not a fan of your system because it's flawed from the get-go. You do not honor the culture and the lands here by your process. Further, I will recommend that if you follow for the necessity of the pandemic, the Zoom format, then you need to alter your system to afford more time for public testimony. This is an absolute necessity. I will let you answer, Mr. Plunkett, my concern.
Lamaku, this is Charlie. First, aloha. Sorry we can't see you, but I can hear you very well. I think it's important you lay down the comments that you want to make on the specifics that you had requested for the for the committee's benefit. So there were at least the way it's presented to me is that you had some comments on the minutes, but also just some general comments on the subject matter that's placed on the agenda, which is the Ali'i Parkway. So I wanted to make sure you get to those first.
Thank you, Charles. I was commenting what my comments would be today on is about my minutes or the testimony that I gave on October 15, 2019. I left my testimony with the county. They did not use or capture the essence of my testimony when it came time to build their minutes. For this reason, I'm requesting time today to not only make small comment in 3 minutes, I am submitting to you all, every one of you, the whole testimony. Can you confirm that you have received it? Rob, would you please confirm?
You submitted your full testimony to
Rob Leisure for all committee members. I'm making sure that you all have 2 things from me. That my full testimony that I left with you all that night. That was 2 years ago or more. And then the second is for a testimony today regarding the Parkway. Did you get those?
No, Chair, this is Rob. I see now what she's referring to. It was something submitted at 3:41. And that is something that has come in writing. That is a copy of her testimony, but no, we have not distributed it yet.
Can you promise me that they will get that?
Yes, we will be taking that into record and making sure that it's shared with the AC members.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your word that you will receive my testimony that I have sent to you, I will appreciate that, because that is the whole concern, is that you see my testimony, because I've used up my 3 minutes telling you and explaining to you all of this. That's improper flow of meetings. I know that the Zoom format and the pandemic makes it a bit of a challenge, but I also say this, that the point that I brought forward in the first place, this planning process needs to be something that's from Hawaii, not from elsewhere. And I'm afraid this system was born of another continent and another culture. Because my testimony that I am following this one with, I need to have your full attention on. It's life-changing. So thank you. That's what I mean to say. I want your promise that you will get my testimony of the 10, 15, 19 and have it, because I cannot get a certain, from what I'm hearing today, Mr. Plunkett, you are saying that all of that testimony that night was for naught. That's not acceptable. You lose the credibility of the public. You know, I have to also say that when you serve the public, you serve Akua, Most High. There's a promise you make. It's called integrity.
Yeah. Sorry, Lamakua, again, this Charlie. Yes, you wanted your testimony to be in the minutes, is what you are suggesting. So the testimony that was submitted on 10:15 to be part of the 10:15 minutes, was that?
Well, here's why, Charles. What's in there was changed 2 to 3 times in 1 week's time, as I've been looking at it online. How pono is that?
You're talking about
those are not my words, by the way. They're someone else's. And there's been no communication from the county with me on this subject. So if there's a choice, I first of all I want those minutes. I want all of our testimony to be included in that night's meeting. We took the time to be there. Show that you respect it.
Okay, so
show that you honor that.
So Lamaku, since we do not have that, the committee members don't have that in front of them right now. Did you want to make specific comments on the parkway itself and the item itself that we're discussing?
Thank you, Charles. I will. I would like to add in these key points. Again, I am Lamaku Mikahalaroi Kahu of Ahuenaheawe Kamakohonu, Hawaii. Kulana Huli Honua, Foundation of the Search for Wisdom, led the people in the strong effort against the earlier proposal for an Ali'i Parkway. We gathered with participants from all walks of life, professors and their students, residents and visitors who gave volunteered effort and then some to help protect Kahakaila'a o Kona, the sacred shore of Kona. Kulana Huli Honua, too, is here tonight with the empowered and enlightened testimony and cause to say again, not only is this project contrary to all laws that protect sublime history, quality, and essence of the spiritual lands of Hawaii, we're here to ever more greatly give you reasons why. These lands are vital to Oiwi and to all mankind, by the way, on the planet. They are to be revered and respected. Here is strong opposition to the Ali'i Parkway for the greatest reasons conveyed by Akua, divine creator, by the ancestors of Oiwi. I followed these comments with words to planning competent worker Bethany Morrison. I told her that night, I will follow this testimony with more testimony to come. in this month of March, I followed through with these words to her. I called her office and I said, Bethany, they're ready. I have testimony. So she was very competent and said, send them. Thank you, Lamaku. I think that is, these are the points I'd like to make from that entry, and it's a good segue for the second portion.
Okay. So these, we're expecting something in writing, I guess.
You got, oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
Rob has.
Let me just clarify something. I think for everyone actually on the committee, on the action committee as well. What the project that Shane and myself, because I was on his subcommittee, undertook was really an issue about capital spending. There was money in the capital budget to see whether that there was some alternative to the Ali'i Parkway that might be in the realm of possibility to undertake, and it was a funding issue. And what Shane and I had undertaken was really not to make a recommendation about the parkway or to continue it, was to see what the local families who had participated in the very first objection before the burial council, what, if anything, they had to contribute in terms of, it's because it's been many years. And so the recommendation that came back was really that we had talked to people. There was an interest, but there was not, there's not really a kind of like a recommendation, I think, in all of this. It falls back to the county, I believe, and I'm speaking from my own experience now. I think it falls back to the county as to whether they want to make that decision to renew that project or not. And the way it was framed in the paper was, I think, incorrect. But to renew that, but in order to renew that, I think we know what the hurdles are going to be, because they were pointed out quite clearly, I think, at the first go around. So I don't think there's anything, sort of in waiting right now, at least as far as I know. But we're happy to, take a look at I'm happy to take a look at read whatever you had to submit. But the subject, I think the topic that we're having is not promoting so much the parkway, is really to accept the subcommittee's report, and then there can be a decision made following the subcommittee accepting the subcommittee's report. We can also decide to extend that subcommittee to look further into possibilities, or just to close it. I think those are the two options. Is that right, Kamu? Subsequent action.
Yeah. So for right now, this discussion, you guys, hopefully, you guys got a chance to look over the report that Shane submitted. You guys can discuss it, make amendments to it, but by the end of this discussion, hopefully you guys choose to accept it, even if there's amendments. You already accepted to approve it with amendments if you guys so choose to make amendments. And then from there, you folks can choose to close out the subcommittee. And just to let you know, closing out the subcommittee doesn't mean that you folks aren't going to work on it anymore. It's just the opportunity to begin a new scope. But that's up to you guys. If you guys want to leave it open, but really, actually, no, that's incorrect. If you guys choose to accept it, then the work of the subcommittee is done. You guys can start a new subcommittee if you want to, though.
Right. Lamaku, have you read the subcommittee report?
No, I have not.
Aye.
No, I have not, because I'll be very honest with you. This is so unclear to me.
Yeah, that's right.
This meeting took place in 2019, and I'm only now being told that these, I'm hearing Mr. Plunkett, but I'm not understanding your flow at all.
Okay.
And in your connection to the main committee. You see, this is what I mean about you can't see the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are maybe dotting the I's and crossing the T's, but boy, you are missing the whole meal or the whole document. I do not mean to be making gestures of and against anything. I am speaking though on how effective, and I am also guarding my words. We teach our children that our words are gold, and I am very much guarding my words, and I intend to make sure you all get the complete words that I wrote, because they are important. They make history, and so will the words that are coming now to you, because once you hear them, you are responsible. May I proceed?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. You have a second issue.
Yes, this is the Parkway today. After this meeting in 2019, I will tell you that I told again Bethany that I had input. Well, here's the input that I sent to her, and now I send to you today. I am going to take from this testimony that is many pages long, but I ask you to go to your heart and to go to your Maker and ask for your help to receive these words of light, because these words of light are a gift of not only this lifetime, but many lifetimes. These are the words of the ancestors who uphold the highest light of Akua, divine creator at Kamakohonu. I am going to go to the place to try to explain to you some of the important things here. Ahu'eneheo is the first restored temple in Hawaii and was the first temple built upon the earth. Ahu'eneheo is the only temple upon the earth restored with the life of the spirit of Most High God. Akua mana mana loa. Akua created the earth within divine Pacific seas. Akua has begun the great gift of the rebirth of Earth's planet, again in the divine Pacific seas, heralded by the ho'ailona of Omaka'olaho Kaluokalani, often referred to as Fissure 8. Upon Ahu'eneheo is Kalana Nu'umamau, the great oracle tower that represents Mauna Awakea, the tallest mountain peak of the earth, measured from the bottom of ocean's depths. What is the oracle but the sacred connection point between divine and mankind? Here is the representation of the sacred connection point between divine and mankind in Mauna Wakea. Upon Mauna Wakea, here is the ultimate sacred space for the life of the planet and all life upon the planet. Here is the ultimate stairway of levels of sacredness cared for by sacred appointed ones by Akua. This has been the place to honor and give thanks to Akua for the sacred balance between Akua and Akua's creation of planet Earth. Mankind offers profuse love, respect, and honor, and keeps the first peace created by Akua. Akua blesses all of Akua's creations of the life of all the realms of Earth and beyond. I'm going to stay with me. Kalokohonokohau served as the northern boundary of lands of great sacredness to Oiwi. Kaloko on the north and Honaunau on the south enclose the intensely sacred lands dedicated to Akua, divine creator. Within these lands were and are is Ahu'eneheo. At Pu'u is the sacredness focused and identified as the heart of Kaluokalani, translated the second heaven. While Pu'u is identified as the heart of Kaluokalani, truly the mountain to shoreline trails of the North Kona coastline hold the true history of the heart of Kaluokalani. Kaluokalani is all of the Hawaiian Islands, extending northward through the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. Kaluokalani became the Kingdom of Hawaii, unified by Kamehameha the Great. These land points have always been honored, especially for bordering the lands held as the sacred repository for all Oiwi from time immemorial. When Kamehameha the Great unified the kingdom by Akua Manamanaloa, he was chosen king and leader of his people by Akua. Akua blessed and provided for the sacred success of his efforts for Oiwi, his beloved people. Kamehameha the Great unified the islands and took special care of the repository of the especially sacred lands of the ages. These lands, ladies and gentlemen, are the very lands that the Parkway has always intended to strike a disrespectful, terrible move. This is why it's never been okay by the people. We have listened to our elders who have told us no. And now comes the answer by God. Why? These lands go back to the beginning of the planet Earth. This is the great repository that was protected by Kamehameha the Great when he unified the kingdom. This is what you have in the testimony that's arriving to you today. And again, I ask you to take time and really go from your heart of prayer to read these words, because they remember, they come from light. By the way, if you ever care to be rejuvenated, you may reread these words, because they come from the pureness of light by way of our ancestors. Charles, and all you of ancestry of Oiwi, you know exactly that this is life-changing testimony. And we are a people of oral testimony, you see. So these are among the important words that I wish to share with you today.
Well, thank you, Lamaku, and we look forward to, I guess, getting those in writing somehow, if you've submitted them, but they're not in front of us now, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have that motion and the second on the subcommittee report which was done by Shane, and submitted by Shane, and so is there further discussion from the committee? If not, I would call for the question. So all in favor of accepting the subcommittee report dated October 15, 2019, submitted by Shane Pollicott, just indicate by raising your hand or saying aye. I don't see, oh, there's Franz.
Did it get a remotion or?
No.
There was a motion in a second.
Yeah. But
If there's no other discussion. Okay,
David, we don't know what their vote is.
I don't see David on, and I can't see Marissa.
Maybe Chair, you can go.
Mm-hmm.
So who did you see confirm the vote?
Kari, Shirley, Janice, Franz, myself. Marissa's raising her hand now. And David's not on the screen. I don't see him on the screen. And Rose, she's on now.
Okay, so maybe if we can just say one more time, and if you don't want to be seen, can you just say aye, just so that we can count who's approving? Maybe you can just make a call down the row, Chair.
Okay, I will. Okay, so we'll just do a vote count by voice. So I'll go to Kari first.
Aye.
Shirley.
Aye.
Franz.
Aye.
Janice. Janice is on mute, but I can read aye. Rose.
Aye.
Okay, Marissa.
Aye.
Okay, and
David?
I don't see him on the screen. David, you there?
You dropped off.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, so you have enough votes.
Yeah.
Okay, so mahalo everybody. And just to be clear, that was also to close the subcommittee, approval of the report and the closure of the subcommittee. And it will be up to the action committee to any follow-up investigations. Chair, if you don't mind, I have a few words. So Lamaku, mahalo for your comments and your testimony. I just want to let everybody here know that comments and structure of how comments are processed, and even the processing of minutes, these things are set in place not by us ourselves. We're following a certain template that is given to us. Now, I have also with something that is as in-depth and meaningful as what Mikiala was trying to share. It's not, it doesn't do it justice to try and fit it into a 3-minute testimony. That rule is not that wasn't given by me. That's something that all boards and commissions operate by. Now, I have mentioned to Charlie, or whatever future chair, if people want to get more creative with the agenda topics, remember now, the action committee is able to come to, or when we reach out to you folks, or you guys make suggestions to us for agenda items. But here's the connecting point. Please connect it to your to your CDP and to land use issues. But, so I just want to respond to Lamaku and mahalo her for her deep mana'o. It's actually to say though, trying to do it in 3 minutes is not the right way to share it. And so, Chair, we had talked about this in the past, and in the past, meaning last week, Friday. And again, the committee, I think as a whole, you folks can talk to me separately about how maybe some of these it's a different approach, I agree. It's a different approach, it's a different perspective. The thing is, I'm bound to follow the rules that I have in front of me. And I just remind everybody that before I came to the planning department, I also used to testify before the planning department as a community member. So I do understand the importance of voice, the importance of trying to communicate deep thoughts. But I think there's a better way than trying to testify. And anyway, I'll let Charlie talk or follow up with other community members that have these types of more in-depth, that require more time and honor.
Please ask one more time, only one more time to speak. And I want to thank you, Mr. Plunkett, for your words, and I appreciate them. I also want to ask you, does it mean when you folks voted to accept these, are the minutes there too? Will these minutes go with that report?
So, Mikiala, I got to explain to you too, we are directed that our minutes are not meant to be verbatim.
Well, even
our staff is guided to summarize minutes. And when minutes come to the table, it is able to amend the summary, but we are not meant to record minutes verbatim. That's why the venue of sharing it through the testimony isn't the right way. It's not that it's not right, it just doesn't give honor to the voice that you're trying to convey.
You're saying a mouthful, Mr. Plunkett, and it takes great courage for saying what you're saying. I thank you. And I pose this to the whole committee because this really is the crux of all planning in Hawaii is to honor these things, what you just said, sir. And the reason your good effort is for naught is because whoever transcribed my minutes was not familiar with the essences of what I was bringing forward at all. So what was recorded was she was from elsewhere. She didn't know Hawaii. What do we do about this? I have to say that what you're receiving today went to the members of the 31st state legislature. I am reporting the words of light to the members of all of the representatives of the lands, the mayors. Everyone has received what you've received today. It is of monumental importance. So I do ask you to take it in. But what you're talking about, you're brave to bring these things forward. And again, if I may say, it's not as simple as I'm saying, because I appreciate all the hard work. But again, it's the way you started. If it's based on a plan and thinking from Pittsburgh, this is not Hawaii. Hawaii is not like anywhere else on earth. Precious gem that you have, the kuleana. If you take it to Malama, Akua guides us, and that's what you're going to see in my testimony, is we are the only people on earth he identifies as when we say Akua has created the earth. He is, Psalms 21, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It belongs to God. We believe this, Oivi. That's why we always prepare the lands for the future, not for now. Oh, I thank you. I thank you. I didn't mean to go on this long, but I thank you for your good time.
Thank you, Lamaku. Kamuela, I always struggle. This is one of the things that is really hard to do when you're a chair, is to make sure, well, difficult for me, maybe not for some others, but to make sure you get the full essence of what people are trying to say, because being succinct in 3 minutes is difficult, if not impossible, especially on some of the really complicated and complex issues that we have to deal with. But allowing that voice to be heard, to be recorded, to be, and the story to be told, and at the same time try to respect the process that we actually volunteered for. I mean, we volunteered for this process, so we have to respect the process as well as the people who themselves enter into it. So it's just a difficult thing to do. But I think explanations and we do the best that we can, because we all got our heart in it. There's nothing to be apologetic for or to have to over-explain. But I think it does get sometimes confining. I'm feeling confined when 3 minutes is when you've worked a lifetime at something, to try and sum up in 3 minutes, it's very difficult. So I've used up my 3 minutes, but I just wanted to say that. And if you read the subcommittee report, please, folks, we haven't closed this item yet. The recommendations that are made at the bottom, 1 through 7, I think tell the work of the subcommittee and what it was, meant and designed to do. So thank you. Are there any other?
Chair, just one more comment from me. Again, since I've been here, what I realized is that there's a confusion in terms of what the AC can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that you guys, as you referenced, you folks did hold a town hall meeting once, right? In South Kona. I think that was before my time. See, if we want to exercise different types of venues, exercising different types of voice, we just got to get better at being sure our agendas and our intention for the meeting are matching up with what we're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to make sure that we honor that type of, again, to me, something like this calls for a different type of structure of a meeting, more like that town hall meeting,
right?
Which the presentations can be requested if submitted before time. We can work out those type of details, but But the whole thing is, all of us, county staff and AC members, got to get better at communicating our intentions and setting our agendas to suit those intentions. And that's what I want to do. I know you guys want to do that. So 2021, let's try.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add, can I just add real quickly that Janice made a comment in the chat kind of speaking to this same issue. And so I think that we're all on the same page of this structure that we work under isn't conducive to us actually getting our work done and honoring the work of community. And so I think it circles us right back to the first agenda item of how do we do the work outside of these more formal meetings so that we can engage with folks like Lamaku, and so that we have these conversations in a more open and comfortable setting, and then we can work from there, and that our action committee meetings then we're not so stifled in what we're conversing about and what we're trying to work on and accomplish.
If these meetings are dry and stale because of the structure, then what can be done outside of these meetings? So that by the time we get to these meetings, the product is more reflective of what we're trying to reach. These in-depth things, the structure doesn't suit it. So you got to see what we're trying to do is be more creative about how we bring a better product. So all of that good mana'o can be shared freely, so that by the time we get to the table, when you pass a submitted report, all of that work had been done and synthesized into what comes into this rigid format.
I agree. Janice?
Thank you for that. I think that it's both. I think it has to be both. And because I think that having Mikahala speak today is very, like, if she was, if there was a subgroup or whatever it is, hearing that and we're all in some smaller group, and then someone else is supposed to bring it to this table, and I don't know if they could bring that to this table like Mikahala did. And so I think that, and not just her, but whoever has, a lot of passion for a topic. So I think that since Charlie especially has been chair, we've been able to incorporate a lot of public discussion. And I know maybe we don't get through our agenda exactly how we want it to be, but I do think it's a combining of cultures. And I think that, we need to do both, is reach out and talk to people and bring that back. And at the same time, I think these meetings should also be vibrant and full of the life. I mean, it depends who's appointed to this committee. There's been really great diversity, and there's been really not as great diversity of viewpoints, and that's an important thing. But I also, I also think that we should still allow for a good amount of public input when it's there, because we just haven't had that luxury of having it there all the time. But thank you so much. I think everybody just has done a great thing, and thank you for balancing it all.
Okay, so that somebody's cookie frogs going off. Okay, so that's agenda item. Are there any more comments on that agenda item 2? If none, we'll close it.
Charlie?
Yes.
So just to be clear, now we have the report. So the next step for that report, it goes to the planning director. Who does it go to? Because there are a number of recommendations in that report.
I think the intent was to come to the committee, and the committee can make a recommendation. We send it to the planning committee. I thought.
So, so should we be doing that now?
Planning director, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So do we need a motion to say that we want to send this to the planning director?
Kama, do you need a motion to send this on, or you?
Yeah. So as it reads, the action committee. Okay, hold on. In addition, the action committee may vote to accept the presented final report, discuss the final report, and approve and to approve of the final report with subsequent actions. So that subsequent action
Yep.
can be for it to be forwarded to the director. However, you guys already voted to close it out. So what we what we need is a motion. Okay, here we go. Let's put on our thinking hats. We need a motion to amend oh boy. So anyway, the item does allow for you guys to do a subsequent action, which was an open door for you guys to say to forward it on to the planning director.
Yeah, I don't think we closed the item officially though, did we? Because Shirley asked the question.
I think they can just make the motion to send it. It should be.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll ask for is a motion, and so the motion is in addition to accepting the Ali'i Parkway Investigatory Subcommittee report, the Action Committee also votes to forward it to the planning director.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my motion.
You guys. Okay, that's Shirley's motion.
Seconded.
Chair, you want to call for a vote?
Yeah, so it's been motioned and seconded that the subcommittee report on Ali'i Parkway be submitted by Shane Palakot on October 15, 2019, be forwarded to the planning director. Okay, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, if you can see the screen, we have everyone on screen raising their hand. Rose is there. Oh, Dave's back.
We have Kari, Janice,
Yep.
Rose, David, Shirley, Franz, Marissa, and Chair Young. So that's quorum and motion passes. Okay, Chair.
Shall we close that then?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the third item was the election of officers.
Okay. I'll take this one, Chair.
Sure.
Election of Action Committee officers. The Action Committee will nominate and elect a chair and vice chair to serve during the 2021 calendar year. Nomination and election will be facilitated by planning staff, which will be me. So apologies for having to do this open. I usually do it with pieces of paper and put it in a hat, but in this venue, we're going to do nominations and voting all out, open, orally. Janice, you got your hand up?
I just had a question. With all the uncertainty that was expressed, at least in the newspaper, with the planning director and the new mayor, and about holdovers and not having new nominations, appointees, I'm just wondering if we shouldn't just stay like we are right now and wait until we hear, that's if Charlie and Shirley wants to do it, and just wait until we see what's going to be happening, because several of us are holdovers, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I mean, I'm just putting it out there.
Kari? Yeah, Kari's waving her hand for me. Kari?
You're muted, Kari.
Sorry, I agree with Janice. I think that given the fact that there's uncertainty, Charlie and Shirley, if you are willing to continue, I would greatly appreciate that continuity. I think it would really help stabilize our group, and I would really appreciate it. So please consider that.
Thanks, Kari.
Any other comments on this discussion right now? So, Chair, I don't have a problem with that. However, I do want to make it, before we make a motion or maybe even possibly just defer this item, I do want other AC members to be able to say maybe they want to, if there's a possibility that another AC member might want to fill one of those seats, I believe it's only fair that we give that option. I think the present, we have new AC members, that's why. I think the present people are comfortable, but maybe we just may have to open the floor if there's any discussion about other people wanting to be nominated or elected to those seats. So I guess I'm kind of doing this item. So Franz, do you have any input in terms of the discussion that is happening right now?
No discussion necessary. It's all good.
Okay, thanks, Franz. Marissa?
I don't have any discussion at this time. I do agree with Kari that she said that it'll maintain a consistency and it will help those of us who are new to sort of stay on path, stay on target. That's all I have to say.
Okay, David, any comments?
I'm in agreement with the other members.
Okay, Rose?
Same here. I'm in agreement with the rest of the group, and I have no discussions.
Thanks, Rose. Shirley?
No, well, certainly it's fine with me to stay on. And I think, don't we have a full board anyway? So we could go ahead and just have the election for another year. It sounds, I don't know, Charlie and I think discussed it and said we would both continue if that's the wish of the committee.
Yeah. This round is mostly to see if other people may have wanted to go on, but I think Kari and both Janice already expressed that they want you guys to, they would be happy with you folks continuing on. I think part of, in this discussion that has to be said is when administration and management come into agreement about when and how to start filling holdovers or vacant seats, I think we have to also consider that when that starts to roll on, that if a holdover seats get filled, and I don't have your sheets up right now, Charlie and Shirley, but it's to understand that those rows we may have to come back to a vote. I'm just letting you guys know this because I don't know when the timing of the filling of those seats will be. And we make this, if we make this decision now, we also have to consider that that's a possibility in this.
Yeah. Yeah, this same issue came up in another organization I belong to, and it was the same discussion occurred about maintaining continuity to the times that we're having to go through. So I really get that sensitivity, and I don't mind extending and serving. I have the question I would have though is for everyone's benefit is when are the terms actually determined? I thought they were an annual thing, going in January to December thing, and here we are in March. So maybe help me understand, and the rest of the committee, if we make that commitment to continue on. Are we revisiting this when the committee when people start to term out, or is there some date that we should be thinking of as well? I'm sorry.
I don't think we have an answer thus far, because we're still waiting for guidance, sort of. But if it was up to me, which it's not, we would continue to have you folks sit on because you have been doing the work. And so until we have a clear road ahead, it's part of our hesitation to bring new folks into the fold without knowing what to expect coming. And so just in looking at the fact sheet, I can see that you, Uncle Charlie, Shirley, and Janice have been holding over since May of 2020.
Right.
And then Franz, Kari, and Shane have been holding over since 2019. And the ACs do not have the same rule for holding over that other boards and commissions do. So it's not like you sit as a holdover for 3 months and then we say, okay, that's all you can hold over, right? We don't operate in the same way as, say, Planning Commission or Board of Appeals in that way. So I don't really have an answer, because it could be the rest of the year. It could be if administration decides that they want to push to fill the seats, that it would be faster than that. But as Zendo said in the beginning, it's at least 3, maybe 6 months before we actually have a path of how exactly we're going to move forward.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I can commit to staying on.
Franz, go ahead, Franz.
So I move to keep the officers on until the board makes, or the committee makes a decision about electing different officers.
I second it.
Hold on, yeah. The Action Committee will nominate and elect a chair and vice chair to serve during the 2021 calendar year. Nomination and election will be facilitated by staff. So in lieu of nominating and electing a new chair and vice chair, and the uncertainty and the forthcoming decision from planning management and county administration as to the timing of filling action committee seats, the action committee chooses to maintain its current chair and vice chair until such time.
That's not my motion.
That's not your motion.
No.
Okay. Okay. Here's you can make a motion, Franz. The thing is, the item, we can't just choose to create a brand new agenda. You somehow got to address this agenda item.
I did.
Yeah. So,
okay.
It's
so
just
what was it?
quite what you said. It's slightly different.
Okay, can you say it one more time?
I move to keep the current officers in place until the committee makes a decision to replace them.
Okay.
We don't know whether it might be in a few months or so when there's a change or everything, but it's open, so we don't have to wait a year.
Yeah. I think per your I think what you're saying though is that it is open, but based on this, it really turns out on the end of 2021, if nothing else is done.
Well, I guess the thing that I'm trying to capture, but actually, Franz, you may be right. See, because the thing is, it's not actually only up to you guys. It's up to the higher ups when they start to fill the seats. But Franz's shortcut is saying it's still not necessarily wrong.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. I didn't talk about the seats, Camila. I talked about the officers.
Right.
The chair and vice chair. That's the only thing I talked about, not the seats.
So if they start filling, okay, here's the thing though, Franz. If they start filling seats and they fill Charlie and Shirley's seat.
Yeah, then we need to select a new chair because the chair is gone. That's automatically.
Okay, I think it works.
Yeah, so even if he, I mean, if he resigns tomorrow, we would have to elect a new chair. So that's something different. But my recommendation is right now that we continue the chair and vice chair, but that the committee has the opportunity to elect a new chair when it's appropriate. So this takes into consideration if we have new members, if somebody wants to step up, if there's a reason, we do not have to wait until next year. And Charlie doesn't have to commit to do this forever.
Yeah.
Okay, Franz, yeah, what a great motion. Much more simple. Is there a second?
They have a second.
Janice second.
David had seconded.
I had seconded.
Okay, mahalo, David. So I'll call for the vote. Marissa?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Rose?
Aye.
Franz? Janice? Shirley?
Aye.
Kari?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye.
Okay. So all in favor and no nays, and so motion stands. Well.
Congratulations.
Lucky. Thank you. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Again.
Charlie, I just wanted to note to Kiko that Franz, your term wasn't up at 2019, was it? I don't think so, because you were appointed after I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can work that out. So we know that. Yeah. Okay, Chair.
So
we have agenda suggestions for the next meeting and approval of the October 15th minutes. I'll leave it to you if you. So I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah. First with the agenda, I'd really like to try and get some follow-up on the, where we are with the open space progress. Yeah, and I think we really have to count on like Kari, Janice, and maybe Shirley, and hopefully there's something happening in between that we can help facilitate. But I think we should try to get that discussion all really fleshed out if we can. That's the only thing that comes to mind. But we do have time to develop the more items. Yeah. for the agenda. So those are my thoughts originally. And do we even have a date for that? Did we come out?
No.
I can't recall. Not yet, huh? Okay. It's just that it's quarterly.
Charlie,
Okay.
can I ask about
Yeah.
that? I just wanted to, can we, I think before like our group would meet about the open space network, it'd be good to hear maybe what the department has going. Like, I wanted to know, like, what their approach is going to be. Is it going to be mapping? So that we know what we're supposed to do. Does that make sense, Kari? Charlie?
I'll leave it to Kari to answer that because
So I think, I think right now it's kind of in a regrouping as far as where we are status wise. I think that's what we really need to figure out, right? Where does it sit? Does the new mayor and the new planning director understand what we're after, to make sure we get support there, as well as there's some new council members that I believe need to also understand what we're after. And so I think it's a check-in with the planners, but also I think the three of us, because I look back, it's on that the October 2019 minutes. It is Janice, Shirley, and myself that maybe it is the three of us, and we go and start talking to our council members as well as mayor's office, as well as planning director. Anyway, that I think is appropriate.
So you're saying that like we just check in with them? No, what are you saying, to check in with the planning department? Would that be Charlie or would that be us, and see where they're headed? But should we write something or come up with something together that tells what we want? I'm not sure exactly.
But Janice, we've already put together what was the RFP. So I really don't think it makes any sense to rework the wheel, right? We have that. It is developed. It has been approved by this committee. It has moved on to the planning director. I think it is just a question of awareness, because we have a new planning director, we have a new mayor, we have new council members, right? So, I have full confidence that the planners like Kamuela are fully aware of where we are at. I believe it's those in power who need to be made aware of the background of what we are doing and where we want to go with it. And I think that's where we as the community have the ability to speak our truth about this, right? Planners are staff. And so they have to take their direction from their bosses, but we have the ability to go straight to those we voted in, and I think that's reasonable.
Right on. Thank you. Perfect.
I know any other suggestions on but we have time to develop it too as well. The next agenda I'm speaking of. There's no need to follow up on, I don't know what Shane's disposition is going to be, but about the Lee Parkway, but he may want to bring that up. But that's all I have. Janice? Oh, mute.
Thanks. The question about terms of the people serving as action committee members, is that set by the county? Is that like the same for all boards and commissions? Is that something that could be variable too for our committee? I'm unclear about that.
It's written in the chapter 16 of the code.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have any comment on the agenda?
No, if you or Shane wants to talk about the more work, and again, all of you guys, if you guys have something you want to put on the agenda, I can't guarantee it, but just call me. But yeah, as far as the Parkway, yeah, if you guys want to talk story about any future investigations, just call me, Charlie, or let Shane know.
Yeah.
To call me.
Yeah. Maybe another thing would be nice to have the director on again, because it gives them 3 months not to warm up. I mean,
we can, yeah, of course, we'll make the suggestion.
Okay.
It's duly noted.
We can drag them over the coals next time.
Janice?
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of sorry I didn't ask about the general plan, but I guess we have to give him a break, maybe. But maybe that's something that should be on the agenda. If he was going to come and speak to us, it would be sort of nice to know what's going on with that.
Yeah. Okay. Right. If nobody else has any comments on that, but again, we have time to work on it. We can go to the approval of the minutes. We have to take a motion on each individual set of minutes, though, not together, right?
I think Rob gave you guys both of the minutes, and so you can make a motion to approve them both one time.
Unless there's going to be amendments, then it'll be clear.
Yeah, unless you guys are going to make amendments, then.
Okay, we can get a motion. Oh boy. Can we do the October 15th one first? Because I just had some questions on that. Can someone move to approve those?
I move to approve the October 15, 2019 minutes.
Yeah, I can second, yeah. Just for discussion purposes, what Lamaku brought up, in her testimony today, and I just wanted a point of clarity. She said it didn't capture some of the things that she said, and I think I don't know if she's on the line, but I don't want to paraphrase her, but I think what she was referring to is the amount of the level of sacredness that she was trying to convey just cannot be captured in the minutes, in the wording in the minutes, and I think that's what she was saying. But also the point of testimony, that written testimony that is submitted to the at the time of whenever the hearing, or whenever we have the public hearing, do those get attached at all, or can they be attached to the minutes as a separate document, or so that it's available, I guess, to those who get, because the minutes become then public documents, don't they? Or do they keep the testimony separate online, Kamo? Because I'm not really.
Again, yeah. So it's the way it happened right now. It's not. It can't. It's not. She chose to. Oh my God. You can submit written comments or provide oral testimony, right? So one thing that we do that becomes, aside from the minutes, that become public testimonies are things called communications. Communications are things that have been approved by the AC as a communication to the department, right? And those, when they are approved, when they go through the process, been approved, then they go onto our repository with a link on the web page that then becomes public. But that thing had made it through the process of becoming a communication. And so that document didn't come through the process. However, at that point in time, public testimony could have been given walk-in, right? You walk in, you sign up, and you can give oral testimony. She's giving oral testimony with a document. And we got to check what a document is.
Yeah, if she submitted that, if it's the same document and it was submitted at the October meeting, it could just be attached as testimony to the minutes. Because any written testimony is
public.
Is done like, yeah, is public.
Yeah. So I was just, wondering whether as the chair, people either make the assumption that it's going to be part of the minutes or attached to the minutes, or don't make the assumption, don't think about it. But in this particular case, I think that's what she was hoping would happen. As the chair, if I were to maybe help clarify that, and if the policy is not to attach it, then if the chair were to say, if you want that to be part of the minutes, then request that it be attached, and then that would give it then special, or not special, but it would, it would be a request from the testifier.
There's something to consider, right, Charlie? Is I'm going to say something. I'm going to give my oral testimony, and that is taken down in the minutes, right?
Right.
And then she's handing this paper saying, but what she's articulating and what's on the minutes could be, I'm not just thinking about the moment, right? There needs to be consistency in how we do procedure, because then anybody could come oral testify, but hand in something totally different.
Right. 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 Okay. Well, don't let me hold you up. We have a motion and a second. So I don't know if there's any more comments. Otherwise, I'll call for the question. All in favor of approving the minutes, the October 15, 2019 minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, so those minutes are approved. And then we have the December 16, 2020 minutes for motion. Someone move.
I move to approve the December 15, 2020 minutes.
I second it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, December 16th. Okay. Any comments?
16th.
Mm-hmm. Any comments? If not, I call for the question. Then all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of December 16, 2020, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Hearing nay, motion is accepted too. Okay, where are we at? Adjournment?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's where we are. We're at adjournment.
Yes.
Please.
Well, folks,
Is that a motion?
Not everybody does.
All you got to do is somebody got to move and somebody got to second, and that will do it.
Adjourn the meeting.
I second.
okay, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Hey, I just want to say thank you to all of you guys. These meetings are not easy. I do understand meetings, pal. So I'm just speaking. If you guys got to go, you got to go. The structure isn't conducive to everything we want to talk about. Hi, David. I want to work with you guys. If you guys can work with the chair and vice chair, they can come talk to me, and we can let's try to work about being more creative. But thank you guys for working through this. Yeah. Hey, good to see all of you guys. Glad you're healthy.
Aloha.
Ahoy.
Nice to
Thank
meet you,
you.
everybody.
Sure, bye.